Hi again. I'm Michelle Inglesano. I am the co-author of Methylation Madness, Insight into the Biochemical and Personal Lives of Hypermethylators. And I co-wrote this book with my orthomolecular biochemical nutritionist, Dr. Terence Doolin. Today I'm going to read a little bit about a very critical time in my life, about 7 or 8 years ago. Because of my methylation issue, I went into acute liver failure due to toxicity to medication. Um, Thanks to Dr. Doolin, I am sitting here today reading from my book. So I'm just going to take a little excerpt out of the book regarding this point in time. Unbeknownst to me, my now former primary care doctor prescribed a medication which didn't contain sulfur, but worked on the methylation pathways. In biochemical terms, though it did not contain sulfur, it was a medication which shut down the methylation pathways. Since my methylation pathways are already impaired, this type of medication isn't a good choice for my chemistry. Prior to taking the medication, I, of course, asked my doctor if it contained sulfur in any type. The doctor told me no, and that I should take the medication for a short 7 days, and all should be good as gold. Well, ironically, the most devastating part of my life happened instead. One day, after starting the medication, I felt totally run down, nauseous, and had flu-like symptoms. I knew I never felt well on medication, and the urinary tract infection was not pleasant. So I chalked it up to me feeling ill because of that. As the days went by, I found myself dragging myself out of bed, consistently being freezing cold, having pains in my right side, and getting a rash on my back and belly. By day 5, I was in a store, wrapped in my heavy suede and shearling coat, trying to stand up and not pass out. On day 6, I called the doctor's office and said there's no way I can continue this medication one more minute. But I knew stopping the medication without completing it was not in the rule book. They said not to worry and to come back in. Obviously, I again followed the instructions. As the days went by, I had numerous blood tests because the doctor was trying to figure out what disease I had. During this time, my symptoms worsened, even though I was off the medication for over 4 days by now. I made an appointment with a liver specialist immediately, but in the meantime, I called Dr. Doolin. He was aware of my condition, but waiting on more in-depth blood work that the doctor had ordered. This blood test was to check for other diseases besides hepatitis. I told Dr. Doolin that I had my first set of bloods and asked him to please look at them. He said come to the office immediately after work and show him. I get chills actually while I'm reading this. I was wrapped in the same coat, which I have since thrown into the garbage because wearing it now feels like death is wrapped around me. And the thought of donating it to someone feels as if I am passing on the horror to another person. And anybody who knows me very well knows that I believe fully in transferring energy. When I arrived at Dr. Doolin's office, he looked at the bloods and the rash on my back and stomach and was not happy. Doc knew everything there was to know about my body chemistry. I stood for however long it was, just staring at him as he studied the blood test results. I was totally petrified because when Dr. Doolin looks worried, then I know something is very wrong. He ended up looking into a medical handbook to look up the medication. Then he turned to look at the computer and looked up again. Because of his 30 years plus of practicing biochemistry and the information he just looked at to help him confirm his diagnosis, he ended up telling me, "You don't have any autoimmune disorder or hepatitis. You're being killed by the sulfur methylation amino acid overload. It is overwhelming your body." He immediately put me on a Dr. Doolin cocktail of foods and supplements to start offsetting the damage that was happening to my liver and biochemistry. As I stated, over the 20 plus years I have known Dr. Doolin, I can tell, which is really 30 years at this point, um, as I can tell when he is worried and when he isn't. He can play off worry pretty well, but there was something wrong. I felt it when I looked at him. He said to go to the liver specialist and then call him after the appointment and tell him word for word what was told to me. My treatment took months of painstakingly difficult days and nights. I was unable to eat more than half a bagel loaded with butter as a way to cut the severe heartburn I had. I ate this fatty treat every few hours, for anything else would make me sick to my stomach or give me worse heartburn. Mind you, I hardly touch carbs, so eating about 2 bagels a day was unheard of. I was so sick to my stomach and had such horrible pain in my right side where my liver was located that drinking water was like drinking battery acid. I became dehydrated and I dropped 13 pounds, which made me look like a really skinny bodybuilder. I was muscular and lean as a woman, never weighing any more than 125 pounds. Prior to my liver failing, I was in the best shape of my life and weighed 114. Almost immediately, I lost most of the fat on my body and my hair fell out in clumps. The rash, which started on my stomach, crawled up my back and was much worse. My symptoms intensified quickly. My eyes and body became golden sunlight color, and my voice went 2 octaves lower. You can actually, if you do know me, if you hadn't heard me speak in a long time, and then you did, it was very interesting, the reactions that I got, because my voice now is quite a bit deeper than it used to be. It was an absolute transformation of who I was in less than a month's time. I used to be the strong woman that people commented on because I was 5 foot with red hair and nonstop energy. I now turned into a woman people looked at because I looked oddly ill, or just odd to those who knew me. My memory became bad also. I still have not regained enough memory to write this without the help of Dr. Doolin and my daughter. I have a very close friend and sister, I call her, Diana, whom I have zero recollection, even to this day, of her coming to see me. I recall only pieces of anything here and there. It's the freakiest thing. Along with that, I had absolute no energy, and for me, that is unheard of. My methylation issue has always filled me with adrenaline, so seeing me sitting down is the ultimate paradox. If any of my readers are mothers, you can remember the exhaustion you felt when you were pregnant the first 3 months. Take that exhaustion and amplify it 3 times. For those of you who have never been pregnant, think of having a 70-pound weight on your legs and then walking on the beach backwards. My body was depleted of anything, of the amazing energy that I used to have and that I'm well known for. I wanted to sleep or just sit on the couch and not move. My day-to-day living, caring for my daughter, going to work regularly, was just a memory at this time. My amazing daughter did everything for me. She made dinner, helped me get dressed, and did laundry without 1 ounce of complaining. My friends and family turned into housemaids, nursemaids, chauffeurs, chefs, personal assistants, and angels. My acquaintances turned into dear friends, whom I depended on and loved dearly, along with my lifetime friends, family, and Dr. Doolin. Thanks for listening.